G'day everyone, it's SDS SuperCoach providing SuperCoach content for you. I'm here to present the 15 under the radar selections for SuperCoach 2025. It's an annual thing that I do. After my team picker video, I usually do an under the radar team. So I've got about 15 names here. This is my second attempt of recording because I was recording the wrong screen the whole time. So hopefully it goes just as good as the first recording. I was happy with the first recording, but the screen stuffed up. So we'll try again. And here's my 15. If you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe. Really appreciate all the support as we go through the preseason. And leave a comment down below. Need to make sure I get a lot more proactive with responding to comments because I want to help everyone out here. So the first player we've got here is Bayley Dale from the Dogs. So I believe Bayley Dale, as the main distributor, he has got really decent history in the past for SuperCoach scoring. If it's showing here, it'll show that I'm on Footy Y here with Bayley Dale's previous stats. For the last 4 years, 3 of them have been 95 plus averages. And at 528, like as the main distributor, I still reckon there's about a 103 to 105 potential scoring there if they really lean into Bayley Dale as the main guy. We just got to find out whether, that's the option. So I think Bayley Dale's a really solid option going forward. At 528, if you don't want to spend the big bucks on maybe like a Sheasel or a Flanders, then Bayley Dale saves you about 100k. And sure, he might not be as good as them, but he is a very fine D6. So I think there's some decent value here for people to look at there with Bayley Dale. Trent Rivers I've got here from the Ds. I think they'll lean into him more as a midfielder going forward, as we saw in the past last season. So just keep an eye on the reports. I think he should be playing midfield when he joins the likes of Oliver, Petrarca, Viney. He can be that fourth guy. I think they've got other blokes that can play his role, like a Xavier Lindsay, Caleb Windsor. I think they're going to play him off halfback, and Sharp and Langdon go on the wing. We've also got Bowie there, so he could be a main distributor. So I think there's enough guys there now for the Ds to let Rivers be in the midfield, so he doesn't have to play at halfback. And I think if you've got a full-time midfielder in your back line, I think at 462k, there is a massive chance of a spike in his overall production. Now, here for the Pies, a new recruit, Harry Perryman. So I believe Perryman is he is on massive money to come to the club on a big year deal. I think it's 7 years. I could be wrong there, but I think he's a very interesting prospect to maybe get into the midfield rotation for Collingwood. They've been looking for a couple of new guys to fill into that midfield and think of, the likes of Crispin, Pendlebury. They want to think of the future there. And I believe Perryman and also Tom Mitchell, who's gotten injured again, unfortunately. But I believe Perryman should be playing a fair bit of midfield. The one downside would be that he's one of the more versatile players in the game where you can plug him in any position, like on a wing, down back, half back. He's even spent stints at half forward on the rare occasions. So they can play him in certain roles where he'll be able to get the job done, and that might be an in-game adjustment. So that's probably the downside, his versatility, where if they don't need him in the midfield for a certain game, they can put him elsewhere. But I think I think he's had good scoring history when he's been a midfielder, and I think he's going to a good team like Collingwood where they could probably use a guy like Perryman in that midfield. So he's an interesting option to keep an eye on. Josh Sin for the Power. Um, there was a report that Sin would be the likely candidate to replace Houston for his style of play down back, which I find very interesting at that price, 229k. Even if he plays that role, like there's a good chance he could go 150k extra here just due to the kick-ins. We'll need to know if he's taking the kick-ins, though. I think that's his avenue to success, where he can just take the majority of the kick-ins and is the main distributor off half-back. But there's also guys like Farrell, potentially Burgoyne, and Logan Evans there as well. So we'll have to see if they really lean into that. But for the time being, at 229, if he's going to play that Houston role, we've got to keep an eye on Josh Sin. And then for the midfield, sorry, we're going to go with Jordan Dawson. Got how to use this bloody app. Yep, Jordan Dawson. So there are a lot of underpriced midfielders going into 2025, and we just wonder whether Jordan Dawson can be that. Is he just flying under the radar because there are options at cheaper priced that are being picked over Jordan Dawson? But at 550k, we know what he's capable of as a player. I guess it's similar to Perryman. He can be plugged in. Sorry, he can be plugged into any role for the Crows, and Nix has really sort of done that with Dawson throughout his Crows career. So we'll have to see, but hopefully, if he can be a main midfielder at 550k, there's not much to lose there. It's a good price. I think it was 100 grand more expensive last season, as I get a work email. So just really keep an eye on Jordan Dawson, their potential use of him, because there is a mild risk with Peatland coming in, Draper coming in, Neil Bullen potentially maybe playing a little bit of midfield, that maybe Dawson's shifted out, but if he stays in there, he's a real game changer for the Crows. Will Day here at 491k. Got to put a Hawks boy in here, so I don't have to, but I just want to do. So I think he's getting a little bit overshadowed by some of the guys at cheaper prices, and I don't blame them. They're probably better options than Will Day. But at 491k, I know he gets the tag of being injury prone, but most of his injuries have been extremely unlucky. I don't think I've seen a player in the comp like Will Day who just gets battered around like he does in the midfield. So I don't think he can change that just due to his build. Everyone says, oh, just bulk up, but I don't think his body type is the type of bloke to look super strong. I think that's just his build. So he does get battered around the midfield, but if he can have a clean run in pre-season, and we just 491k, he can do much better than that. I have so much faith in Will Day. I do think if he can stay on the park one day, he can become a top line premium in our midfield. So we're just gonna have to. I'm just hoping that Will Day can just get a clean run at it in 2025. Adam Cherry here, so he's 50 grand cheaper than roughly 50 grand cheaper than Will Day, but he has had scoring history in the past. Now, what really let him down last season was I think he's had 4 hamstrings in the last 12 months, but they're getting a new fitness boss in the Blues. He's from Sydney. I forgot his name, but could that be something where that they get him on a better program and hopefully he can stay on the park? And 447k, like, it's something to think about there with the scoring history. He's easily a bloke that can get to 600k. Like, we've seen it before. I think in 2023 he got to 600, and he was one of those blokes where he was super underrated as a player, being that premium type. But now at 447, it's just really something to think about here. Cam Guthrie for the Cats. Did I spell his name wrong? How did I spell Guthrie wrong? Oh, I did. Cam Guthrie, 278k. We've had history in the past of his scoring where he was a premium, but struck down with injuries last season, unfortunately. I think he got injured 5 minutes into a practice game against Carlton at Icon Park last season, and it was just tough for him to get into the side when he was just injured a fair bit, and the Cats were rolling. It was hard for him to find a way into the side. So we'll see if he can get into the midfield. Obviously, they recruited Bayley Smith, but are they going to play him a different sort of role? Is he not even in best 23 anymore? We'll have to see. But I mean, could he be a Jared Lyons 2.0? Like, just a really interesting price to think about there with Cam Guthrie. Like, that's a bargain for him. But we're just gonna have to see what type of role he is, what type of role he has for the Cats in 2025, as he is getting up there in age. Nathan O'Driscoll. Now, I think could this be Jeremy Sharp 2.0? Speaking of 2.0s, could he be the next Jeremy Sharp? He's lost a fair bit of weight. He's back to his draft weight and build, and which I think is fine. Like, He was dealing with a fair few injuries, and spent a bit of time at Peel Thunder. But now at 198k, he could be the winger next to Sharp. And I think there's a lot of untapped potential here with O'Driscoll. He could have easily have left. I think he said that before. Could have easily left for more opportunity, but he's backed himself in, and I think 198k. If one of these draftees fall out of favour for us coaches during the preseason, O'Driscoll's a good guy to fall back on. I think he'll be best 23. Usually when you drop weight as a player, it usually means that it's more capable of being a winger because you're less away from the contest. So O'Driscoll is very interesting at that sort of price. A teammate of his in the ruck, we got Shawn Dary at 529k. If they fully commit to Luke Jackson being a forward when they're both playing as a solo ruck, Shawn Dary, I think I mean, we know his ceiling as a ruckman. It's 170 pluses, 180 pluses, 190s. He's done it in the past before. He's capable of doing it again when he's fit and firing on the park. We're just going to have to see how he tracks during preseason, and I just think he's super interesting. If the rucks are tough to pick, there's only a couple that we like. So I mean, if Darcy can show good signs in preseason, he becomes another option that we just got to think about there, because he's too good of a player to be dealing with all these sorts of injuries. Toby Conway with the Cats. If they finally let go of the cockroach, Reece Stanley as the number one ruck, then I mean, Conway's right there, ready to take the opportunity. They just need to persist with Conway a bit. I think he played one bad game and got dropped and didn't really see much. And I think he got injured as well. So at 343k isn't as cheap as we would have liked, but I don't know. Could he be the next? If they make him the number one ruck, could he be? I don't know, another Tristan Cherry type of player. Is he ready to go? We'll have to see, and hopefully he can beat out Reece Stanley in those as to be the number one ruck going forward. Because at 343k, he's a really interesting flex option. If I know a lot of people's favourites is Matty Flynn. If that falls out of favour, then maybe Toby Conway's an interesting one to talk about. So hopefully you can get a good run at it. And then as we move into the forward line, Matt Kennedy from the Dogs. I think he'll be part of that midfield rotation with Bontempelli, Richards, Treloar, and Liberatore. Richards is good. Bont is obviously an absolute star. I think there's potential for I think there's definitely potential for Treloar to drop off next season, and similar to what happened with Liberatore this season. And Liberatore could drop off even further. He's just got the right attitude about him, Matt Kennedy. He'll play a good role, I believe, for the Dogs. And, if you want to anti-pod Jack Macrae, you're not feeling Jack Macrae, Matt Kennedy is a good option. Like, if they do commit to him playing midfield, he's very interesting. Josh Rochelle, he said in the past that he wants to play more midfield. We'll see if that happens. They've recruited a couple more midfielders into the club, which makes it a little bit trickier, but you never know. I mean, maybe Nix will give him a crack in there. There's certainly a couple of factors in his game that I'm not particularly a fan of, uh, especially when it comes to building that midfield craft. But I think if Rochelle could potentially do like a Rankins sort of role in 2025, then that's very interesting for him. But yeah, I don't mind Josh Rochelle. Maybe if that pops up, and Humphrey's in a similar position where it's a different story to Rochelle because they have Rankin, which affects Rochelle's chances of becoming a midfielder. Where compared to Bayley Humphrey, they don't really have that guy, and Bayley Humphrey could be that guy that gets 40% CBAs in that midfield where they just don't have that type of midfielder. They've got Rowell, Anderson, Took, that sort of thing. Could Humphrey be that fourth or fifth guy to rotate in there? And maybe Leo Lombard takes the Bayley Humphrey role. He was a bit in and out of the side, Bayley Humphrey, but if they can just have a massive preseason, then you never know because that's a pretty good price. We saw in his first season what type of scoring he's capable of. And a rookie, Joe Berry. I know a lot of people are talking about Kako, but I believe Berry could be just as good, if not better, of an option. I think he'll play straight away. He's that perfect small forward type for the Bond game, where good running patterns, can can has really strong hands, tackle well. He's just that his draft comparison was Dylan Moore, and I just wonder whether, as the power is struggling a little bit with the small forward position, could he be a slow burner and potentially by round 11 he could be 290, 300K? I just wonder with that. I really do rate Joe Berry. I think that was a great draft pick for Port there. So just keep an eye on Joe Berry. So yeah, I think we'll wrap it up there. Hopefully my screen's working this time. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate all the support, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Hope you're doing well. Cheers.